Three times in the New Testament of the Holy Bible, we have Jesus blessing little children. Matthew 19:13-15, Luke 18:15-17, and Mark 10:13-16. Matthew, Mark, and Luke follow up this incident of Jesus blessing little children with the story of the rich young man who kept all the rules but still could not find a place in God's kingdom. This is in dramatic contrast to the little children who do not keep any rules and laws but still belong to God's kingdom. Jesus asserts that little children belong to the kingdom and the kingdom belongs to little children. The children who were being presented to Jesus were very small. They were infants. In the ancient world, children, especially infants, were considered insignificant. Maybe because of the high child mortality rate at that time, it was some kind of psychological mechanism for adults to not get too attached to children they might lose. Children were viewed as consumers, not producers. They didn't have much value like adults did. They were not counted as members of society. In fact, they didn't have any value at all until they could at least help with the family farm or business. The people of that time believed that they could earn their way to heaven by doing good works and by obeying the law. Children couldn't do good works, nor did they understand the law. And so people assumed that children did not find a place in God's kingdom. The disciples of Jesus also shared this worldview of people at that time. They saw the throng of parents bringing infants to Jesus, and they rebuked them. Why should Jesus' time and energy be drained by these insignificant, weak, and frail infants? The disciples probably argued that Jesus was a busy man. He was teaching and preaching, and he was laying his hands on people, but he was laying them on the sick and the dead. Jesus doesn't have time to lay his hands on perfectly healthy infants. He needs to reserve his time for the more significant people. The Greek verb for were bringing is in a form that signifies continually bringing. These parents were continually bringing their children. It was ongoing, constant barrage of infants coming before Jesus. So the disciples rebuked them. Matthew and Luke say that the disciples spoke sternly to the parents who were bringing their little children to Jesus. Jesus expressed a variety of human emotions while interacting with people. At least half a dozen times, he even got upset and angry. His anger was always to build up the other, never to pull down and destroy. The visible times when Jesus was angry are when he noticed people trading in the temple, John 2:13-7 and Matthew 21:12-17. Jesus overcome by emotion in John 11:38 when he was deeply moved and yelled out for Lazarus to come out. Jesus got angry when rules were preferred and placed over and above people. The teaching on the Sabbath in Mark 2:27 and 28. Self-righteousness angered Jesus, and he points out this hypocrisy in Matthew 23:25-32 by saying that the Pharisees wash the outside of the cup but ignore the inside. Self-ambition angered Jesus, when people had ulterior motives or selfish ambitions. The Pharisee who prayed loudly in Matthew 6:5 because he was doing so for his own gain. And in today's gospel, Jesus is indignant because his disciples came to a conclusion that sought to exclude children from his presence. Mark says that Jesus was indignant when he saw the disciples preventing little children from coming to him. Jesus rebuked the disciples, but this was no small rebuke. Jesus was indignant. He wasn't simply annoyed or just slightly bothered. The word is aganaktio, which means very grieved. Jesus was angry. All people matter to Jesus. Irrespective of age or status of the person, Jesus is not too busy, too taxed, or too distant, even for children. In fact, it's just the opposite. Jesus values and loves children and seeks to bless them. Mark gives a bit more detail in his gospel. He says that Jesus took the little children in his arms and blessed them, laying his hands on them. He takes time from his busy ministry and makes it a priority to bless these children. A young couple refused to bring their little child to church. Their argument? They wanted the child to wait until it was old enough to decide for itself. The parish priest walked them around his garden full of weeds. The young parents were dismayed and commented on the poor gardening skills of the parish priest. To which the parish priest replied, "Never mind the weeds. I just wanted to wait until the flowers and the vegetables had a chance to decide for themselves." The young parents got the message. How do we bring our children before Jesus? Do we lift them up, bringing our children into the Lord's arms? How ready was Jesus to accept and bless these children? We have not just a hope, but certainty that Jesus will bless our children as we bring them to Him. Parents must pray daily for their children, for their struggles, their strengths, their vocation, their future marriages, their friends. Parents must pray for their contentment, their inclinations, and their little minds and hearts. Prayer is never a waste of time. Little children are invited and welcomed into the church not for their benefit, but for the benefit of adults. The entire church benefits from having children around during prayer. At times, children may be loud or too distracting. But as has been widely said, if there is no crying, the church is dying. In Jesus' eyes, children are not a distraction but an example. We need children constantly before and around us so that we might learn utter trust and reliance, simple, unadorned, trusting faith. As much as the church needs prayerful and seasoned saints, it needs pure and innocent little children. Let us try and accept and welcome everyone as Jesus did. That's the final point of Jesus' message. For to such belong the kingdom of God. Amen.